It's a new year for South Africa and a new parliamentary term, but the Ad Hoc Committee is still grappling with the work of years past. Each testimony unveils a deeper level of corruption and exposes how far criminal networks may have penetrated the very institutions meant to uphold the law. This week, it was Crime Intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo who relayed tales of how criminal syndicates had entrenched themselves inside law enforcement structures, with some police officials allegedly working directly for organized crime.
Almost the whole of SAPS in Gauteng is working for the cartel.
And former acting National Police Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane attempts to expose how he was ousted as the most powerful police officer in the country.
You will know that I was a guinea pig of the step-aside policy because it was first applied on me for whatever reasons.
One inquiry and two men, whose accounts, though different in context, converged on a single theme: a police service battling internal sabotage. And as lawmakers attempt to piece together this complex puzzle, the question is no longer whether the system has been compromised and to what extent, but whether it can still be rescued. Hello and welcome to the first wrap of the Ad Hoc Committee for the year 2026. My name is Zoleka Qodashe. Thank you for joining us as we unpack the week that was before Parliament's fact-finding body. Dumisani Khumalo is South Africa's chief spy and has been serving as the Divisional Commissioner for Crime Intelligence since 2022. But before that, Kumalo was assigned to lead the task team responsible for investigating politically related cases in KwaZulu-Natal. These are positions which were comfortably enjoyed by Kumalo, but the first domino would fall on the 5th of August 2024. That is when, in the midst of investigations into the murder of Vereniging engineer Armin Thwart, a senior prosecutor addressed a letter to the Provincial Commissioner, the Deputy Provincial Commissioner, the Deputy National Commissioner and the National Commissioner, alerting them of some challenges in their investigations.
On that letter, the prosecutor was highlighting the threats that the investigation itself, as well as the investigating officers, were facing, mainly because initially it was mainly because one of the accused was a former warrant officer in the SAPS and who was identified as an organizer of hits within this organized crime syndicate.
This official was identified as Pule Dau, a member of the SAPS detective branch in Johannesburg Central, who's allegedly used as a hitman. Among the challenges also faced was the exclusion of the initial ballistics report, which was crucial information that linked the suspects to a firearm used in the murder. This was one of the factors that led to this conclusion by investigators.
What is happening in Gauteng, where the highly trained combat members of SAPS are moonlighting for the cartels. In other words, working outside their working hours. It happened to the team, I think, on 2 occasions when they are moving with the combat teams from Gauteng. They get to a cartel member, and then the member will ask, "Hey, what are you doing here? Because you were with me last weekend working for me."
After the conclusion of a threat risk assessment by the Gauteng Crime Intelligence head and being confronted by the gravity of the situation, Kumalo requested 10 members of the Political Killings Task Team in KwaZulu-Natal from Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Ndanhla to assist with investigations. And on the 19th of November 2024, the PKTT members, consisting of a ballistics analyst, forensic digital analyst, and investigating officer, among others, joined their Gauteng counterparts. It was on the 5th of December that same year when Katiso KT Molefe was identified as having played a significant role in thwart's murder.
When then we were at the initial phase, which is the surveillance phase of the operation, that is when then we came across a JMPD officer who is part-time working for, according to our information, for Katiso Molefe, Officer Johnny Mohatle, who was then dispatched by Molefe to come and check this suspicious car, our surveillance car. That was that was part of our phase 1 operation.
But that was not the only strange incident to take place.
During the course of the search, a helicopter was then dispatched to hover on top of the house where the members were working and monitoring, and it was dispatched from the law enforcement again. It's normally dispatched then through the JMPD when or if they are CIT incidents.
According to Kumalo, prior to that, 2 groups from the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, more commonly known as the Hawks, arrived at the scene trying to ascertain details about the operation at Molefe's house. These teams allegedly remained on the property until the operation was concluded, despite having no investigation by the Hawks into Molefe. Molefe was eventually arrested on the 6th of December, and Dawu, his alleged accomplice, was also arrested and denied bail until he launched an appeal, which the investigating officers were purportedly asked not to oppose.
The arrangement came from a senior officer, a brigadier, a general, Shibiri, who is the head of organized crime at head office, who called the members and told them that whilst they are preparing for bail opposition, that there are 3 envelopes that are in place. One is for you detectives, one is for a prosecutor, one is for the magistrate.
This appeal was upheld. This is not the only operation conducted on the 6th of December. The other was on the property of Vusimuzi cat Matlala. Stay with us, because when we return, we unpack the genesis of this operation and why Kumalo says it, together with the Molefe takedown operation, was the beginning of his woes. Welcome back. The 6th of December 2024. Dumisani Khumalo describes it as a day in which the takedown operations of alleged cartel lords Katiso Molefe and Vusimuzi Matlala began, and he believes it would quietly mark the beginning of a campaign against him. The head of crime intelligence says he believes he was advancing high-level investigations. What he didn't know was that the same operations would trigger a sequence of events that would see his authority undermined and an attempt to have the political killings task team effectively dismantled. It was the afternoon of the 6th of December 2024 when another operation was conducted on the property of convicted criminal Vusimuzi cat Matlala. This after National Commissioner General Fani Masemola instructed Kumalo to take over the kidnapping case of Pretoria businessman Jerry Bushokha. Bushokha was abducted in November 2024 and owed Matlala over 100,000 rand at the time of his disappearance. This led to police pouncing on Matlala's property hours after arresting Molefe, but to their surprise, Matlala was expecting them.
With the view of getting evidence that the team had confirmed that it's there. But it's one of the incidents that I've mentioned, that when the team got there, they were then informed that Mr. Matlala was waiting for them. He's aware as to where and what time they were preparing to advance to the house. Hence, then the operation was not as successful as it was expected to be.
But Matlala told a different version of events when lawmakers descended on the Kgoshi Mampuru Correctional Facility last year.
So just describe to us what happened, what did you experience?
Okay, I think it was around between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. So I was sitting in the main bedroom with my wife, and then we just heard a kid screaming in the house. So I wanted to go to check what is happening, and I saw some guys wearing balaclavas, holding assault rifles, approaching towards the main bedroom where I was with my wife. And then when they got into the house, they said, inside the main bedroom, they said we must lie down. Myself, I must lie down on the floor. And while I was lying down, I saw also the kids, they made the kids also to lie down and push their hands behind their head. And then they started asking me questions that how many people are in the house, and I explained people who are in the house, and they asked me if they found someone besides the people that I just mentioned. I said no, it's only these people that I know.
But it was during these investigations that it was discovered that the torn white sheets used in Boshoga's ransom videos for 10 million rand were the same ones found in Matlala's house, something he denies.
Now, when the police went to your house for the raid, they claim that they found the sheet in one of the employees' rooms, which looked very much like the sheet in the videos that were demanding ransom for Jerry. How do you explain that?
I don't need to explain it. I do not even understand how is that possible, because first of all, this drug kingpin that they claim that I am, I will go to an extra mile of kidnapping someone, but somehow I forgot to arrange a safe house and end up putting someone in my own house where there is staff, there is children, there is my wife. What if they see that person there? So it's easy for them to go to the police. So that thing that they're saying, I see what they are up to, but it does not make sense to me.
So the correct way to do it would have been to put him in a safe house.
But it does not make sense. How can you kidnap someone and stay with him in your own house? It does not make sense, that thing.
How I understand it, Mr. Matlala, is that in one of your employees' rooms, there's a curtain that closes the window. That curtain is a sheet that is torn, the way that it's wrapped and whatever, is very much like where Jerry was. Now, I'm asking you, when you are told that this is where Jerry was, not what you should have done, safe house, when you are told, your view is what? This sheet maybe just looks like the other sheet?
I don't even think, I don't know, because I've never went to that room, but the people who are saying those things, from them, that is expected. There is a lot of things that I can share with you now, if you don't mind, to show you how, to which length they will go to try to implicate me to things that I did not commit.
During the operation, 5 cell phones and 4 firearms were seized, but it was what took place during the raid that caught the attention of investigators.
Another coincident on the same day, on the 6th of December, at the time when these 2 operations were ongoing. This is the time Advocate Johnson sent a formal email to both Divisional Commissioner of Detectives as well as the Deputy Provincial Commissioner of Detectives in Gauteng, requesting access to the dockets that had been reported by the Member of Parliament, Mr. Fadel Adams, against me, the executive of crime intelligence, that is responsible for GCI ops. The dockets were requested as a matter of agency on that day, the 6th of December, when the operation was on. That is attached then as Annexure SDK 13, that agent request of those dockets. Hence, then, as I said when I started the discussion under this paragraph, that the December, especially the 6th, was the beginning of the problems of PKTT and Kumalo.
The cases against Kumalo were opened by National Coloured Congress member Fadil Adams in Gauteng, but Kumalo believes there's more to this urgent request by Advocate Andrea Johnson, the head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, or IDAC, that meets the eye. And it would be after 2 operations on his property and another on his business that Matlala approached the High Court seeking to interdict what he deemed harassment from law enforcement authorities. In his court papers, Matlala claimed that jewellery was also seized during the raids.
Then on the 23rd, Mr. Mkhozi is sending a WhatsApp text to Mr. Matlala wherein he is stating IPIT guy name, my brother, any news from IPIT. So that is the discussion now that is taking place during the time when there are cases that Matlala needs to open against the team. And then still on the 23rd, I was called in a meeting with the former minister, Begicele, not in Durban, in Pretoria, where he informed me that he had a meeting with Mr. Matlala, and Mr. Matlala informed him that he was requested to fabricate the allegations in relation to the jewelry and the MacBook as part of his founding affidavit, so as then General Sibia can have a case that he can be able to deal with me with accordingly.
Controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokgotsi would continue pressing for clarity on a court date and an IPIT case, but on the 24th of December, Matlala withdrew his application for an urgent interdict.
The allegations that there was any settlement agreement entered to with Matlala are false, because the firearms were not back yet. They were still with our ballistic experts, and then we were continuing with our plan as it was planned, but then the matter then did not continue at court based on Mr. Matlala's withdrawal.
It was also in December that it was discovered that another team had been appointed to investigate the Boshoga kidnapping case.
The first team was allocated by the National Commission.
By the National
Did the
Commission.
National Commission withdraw the first team for General Sibia to appoint his own team?
No, he did not.
So it was a parallel team in a way.
A parallel team, I can.
So General Sibia is behaving like a parallel National Commissioner.
Despite this, there was no immediate communication with the top cop in the country about what had taken place.
You abdicated your responsibility with regards to this matter. You were supposed to intervene immediately after the Dockets were taken from your team to another team. You were supposed to report the matter to the National Commissioner immediately and make constant follow-ups, because you were appointed by the National Commissioner. You were not appointed by the Deputy National Commissioner, Sibia. So my view, General, is that you have allowed Sibia to run the show alone. You have allowed Sibia to run the show alone. And if it was not for the bravery of General Mkhwanazi, which he displayed on the 6th of July, today we will be faced with an elephant called Sibia in SAPS doing all sorts of shenanigans that you are alleging that he was doing. Do you agree with me when I say that you faltered? I mean, you committed a mistake by not intervening immediately on this matter.
I took note and agree, Honorable Member.
It's not the first time that now suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibia, has been accused of defying the instructions of his senior. Just 25 days after the operations in Molefe and Matlala's respective properties came a letter from Minister of Police, who has now been placed on leave of absence, Senzo Mchunu, directing that the KwaZulu-Natal PKTT be disbanded on the 31st of December 2024. Mchunu's directive was unequivocal. The team must be disestablished immediately. Masimula was on leave during this time and called for a winding-down approach upon his return, tasking Kumalo with the project after Sibiya sought to give effect to the minister's directive.
I learned it through the social media, which was a very painful experience because I think it was on the second, when then I started receiving calls. Now, I had to receive calls from all members of the PKTT as the project coordinator, asking me one and the same question that I could not answer. I ended up requesting Jerome Khwanazi to go and address the whole team because we were in the dark, all of us.
And on the 1st of January 2025, Mokhotsi sent Matlala a message that read, "The task team that came to your house and harassed you has been dissolved." Again, this is no coincidence for the law enforcement officials.
On the 6th, on both operations, the first one in Katiso Molefe's house, the team was approached by the driver, who then asked the team, and we have an affidavit also to that effect, indicating that is the team aware that Katiso Molefe is a friend of the minister as they are arresting him. Now, on the afternoon's operation, when the team now is at Kat Matlala's house, he also indicates that they are messing up his plan or schedule because he was supposed to be meeting the minister at that time.
After the letter for the disbandment came the issue of the 121 dockets under the custodianship of the PKTT. 118 of them would be handed over on the 28th of March 2025. However, 3 were missing as they were not physically with the investigating team. But what the team found odd was the attempt made by Brigadier Mbangwa Nkwashu to retrieve the criminal docket pertaining to the case in which Katiso Molefe is charged, the Armand Thwart docket.
The Brigadier Nkwashu is the same Brigadier Nkwashu that is also appearing in some parts of my statement as a brigadier who visited Katiso Molefe in prison, driving a vehicle without registration plates, taking clothes and food to Katiso Molefe in prison.
But it appears not everyone is convinced.
It's a very, very serious allegation against Minister Mchunu. I've gone through most of the messages that have been put before us from different witnesses, and at no point do I see anybody discussing with Minister Mchunu the disbandment of the PKTT. The closest to it that I see is Brown Mokhotsi speaking to Matlala saying the guys are being disbanded, whatever they say between them. Where does Minister Mchunu enter? Because circumstantial evidence, it can't just be an issue of we looked at these messages and then we have these suspicions. The man has, his career is destroyed, he's sitting at home.
For Kumalo, the troubles didn't end with the minister's directive, but would see him in the very dock in which he's placed many an accused. When we return, we finally hear what Kumalo has to say about how he went from detective to accused. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 6th of December 2024. Dumisani Khumalo describes it as a day in which the takedown operations of alleged cartel lords Katiso, Molefe and Vusimuzi Matlala began, and he believes it would quietly mark the beginning of a campaign against him. The head of crime intelligence says he believes he was advancing high-level investigations. What he didn't know was that the same operations would trigger a sequence of events that would see his authority undermined and an attempt to have the political killings task team effectively dismantled. It was the 16th of June 2025 and Kumalo was at OR Tambo International Airport when officials from IDAC sprung into action and arrested him. Kumalo was charged with corruption in terms of sections 3, 4 and 10 of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act and fraud allegedly committed between April and June 2024. These charges emanated from the Section 27 referral by Adams. Section 27 of the NPA Act stipulates that if any person has reasonable grounds to suspect that a specified offence has been or is being committed, or that an attempt has been or is being made to commit such an offence, he or she may report the matter to the head of an investigating directorate by means of an affidavit or affirmed declaration. Adams launched the action due to the appointment of Brigadier Dineo Mokwele.
You appointed Dineo Mokwele, a civilian with an engineering background, to the rank of brigadier. Why did you do that?
No, I did not appoint her.
Okay, who did?
The National Commissioner.
I see. And were you happy with that appointment?
Come again, Honourable.
Were you happy with that appointment?
Very happy.
Why?
Because she meets all the requirements of the capabilities that we needed for that particular post as a division.
The question for some MPs was whether no one else possessed the requisite skills and qualifications for appointment within the SAPS. But the post was allegedly advertised internally twice, but was left vacant due to their inability to find a suitable candidate within the organisation. But when Johnson appeared before Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee, she defended the move, arguing that it falls within IDAC's mandate to prosecute complex corruption cases.
There is corruption, then there's the argument. But that's not serious corruption. But what is serious corruption? Does the manipulation and bypassing of processes, putting people in strategic appointments, isn't that what got us where it got us to in terms of state capture? And then you say, serious? Is serious money? Is serious the offense and the office bearers who are entrusted with these positions, who bypass these positions? And then let's just say, I lose that argument. The IDAC mandate can also look at fraud, which you would see in the charge sheet. It can look at issues of fraud, forgery, uttering theft, and any other matter that involves dishonesty. So as it stands alone, even on its own, and you take the corruption and you say to me, Madam IDAC, it's gone. There are still matters that fall within the ambit of IDAC for it to investigate and prosecute.
Unsurprisingly, Kumalo is of a different view. Instead, he shares that of MPs. Mokwele's appointment is a Labour-related matter.
I disagree with the allegations and the statement. The charges relating to my arrest are as a result of me being part of the selection panel that received the already profiled applications from HR department for us then to take them through the selection process that ended up with the recommendations submitted to the committee that then looked at our procedure, whether it was correct or wrong up until the recommendation. So the charges have got nothing to do with the state capture related issues.
The referral by Adams was prompted by documents that had been slipped under his door detailing the allegations. Prior to heading to IDAC, Adams opened 3 cases in the Western Cape on the 29th of October 2024. On the 31st of October that same year, just 2 days later, Adams travelled to Gauteng and opened the same cases, and the very next day, the 1st of November 2024, the Member of Parliament wrote directly to Minister Senzo Mchunu, lamenting the manner in which his cases were being handled. When investigations began, it soon became clear to IDAC that it would need the dockets, and as a result, the National Commissioner was subpoenaed in early 2025, and that is when Johnson reached out to investigators during the raid on Matlala and Molefe's respective properties. But if Adams was in possession of intelligence information, what was the procedure to follow?
That was not the correct procedure. The correct procedure was for that document to be handed over to a vetted and security cleared person, and also to rely on, because it amounts to a hearsay, if in your statement you say, I got this information from a document that I found underneath the door.
And what is contained in the docket raised eyebrows for lawmakers.
The only witnesses that are there are the 2 candidates that did not make it, which is in the form of a grievance statement or procedure in the SAPS. There is nothing else that talks to fraud or corruption.
Kumalo and Mkhwanazi are convinced that the arrest was meant to shield members of cartels and syndicates and disrupt the reforms Kumalo had spearheaded in the division. He also highlighted that a key characteristic of cartels is for members to gain proximity to politicians and law enforcement officials. And while he says campaigns to discredit law enforcement are common, the damage it has now done to him is hard to overlook.
When you got arrested at the airport, how did you feel about it, that you get to be subjected to that kind of treatment as a senior police officer? Did you know about it before? And why do you think they treated you the way they did? Because ordinarily, when a person is senior like you, who is not necessarily a fugitive, who you can easily make an appointment with through the lawyer for him to appear, and so on and so forth. What really transpired there?
Thank you, Honorable Member. It did not feel right. One had to look back at the investment that one has done in his own integrity for the past 34 years. But then one luckily had a clue, and then one had to understand it as a project targeting the reputation, because already the campaign was on, targeting both PKTT as well as myself, because I'm in charge of both environments, the division as well as PKTT. It did not feel well, but then one had to accept it.
But such a campaign would continue crippling a system already on its knees. And the capture of the SAPS, particularly in Gauteng, served as a chilling reminder of what is really at stake for South Africa.
Is it possible that within the SAPS, the people who killed Babita Deokaran are known?
Within the SAPS, it's possible.
Is it possible that the people who killed within the SAPS?
Yes, it's possible.
Or officials of the SAP, it is possible that one of the officials of the SAPS knows who killed Babita Deokaran?
It's possible, Chair.
And is it possible that within the SAPS there is an official who knows the people who killed witness D?
It's possible.
Is it possible that within the SAPS there is an official who knows the people who killed DJ Waras?
Very possible again, Chair.
And many other victims whose names are not being mentioned.
Yes.
It is that admission that killers may be known from within the very institution meant to protect the public that has left lawmakers visibly shaken. After the break, we shift our focus to the testimony of former acting National Police Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane and zoom into what he's described as political interference when he was chief cop. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us as we shift our focus from a current senior SAPS official to a former one. General Khomotso Phahlane, once the highest ranking officer in the South African Police Service, took the hot seat in Parliament on Wednesday to tell his side of the story and to challenge long-held narratives about his downfall. Phahlane began by rejecting allegations that corruption was the reason for his removal as acting National Police Commissioner in 2017. He told MPs that his suspension was unlawful, procedurally flawed and politically driven. In 2015, then Divisional Commissioner for Forensics, Lieutenant General Khomotso Phahlane, was in Parliament when the announcement that would change his life was made. Ria Pierre was out and he was in. Pierre was suspended as National Police Commissioner, creating a vacancy that only the President can fill. Section 207, subsection 1 of the Constitution prescribes that the President, as head of the National Executive, must appoint a woman or a man as a National Commissioner of the Police Service to control and manage the police service. And that is when Phahlane ascended to the highest office in the service in the administration of former President Jacob Zuma. But in 2017, then Police Minister Fikile Mbalula would intervene.
I was not removed by the President of the Republic of South Africa as the Constitution and the Police Act dictates. I was made to step aside by the Minister of Police then. No law provides for such. That's why I continue to say that my removal from office cannot be found anywhere in the prescripts. Later, I think it was on the 7th of June, I then got a call from a colleague of mine, Lieutenant General Skete, who was saying, "Hey, General, I'm being asked to deliver documents to you." And I said, "What is it?" I mean, I've worked with General Skete for years. And he said, "I've got these documents. It's a notice of suspension." And I said, "General, you don't have to go through the trouble of traveling to my office. You can just ask one of the officers in my office. In actual fact, I sent my driver who went to him to fetch the documents and bring them." When I received the documents, the first thing I did, I called General Mutiba and I asked him, "General, are you trying to sort out the mess that the minister has created?" And he was very apologetic. He said, "General, I'm very sorry. It is true. It's a mess because you never suspend someone verbally without documents. And if I were to be suspended or removed from office, it was to be by the President who in the first place appointed me."
This was but one of the instances that was a demonstration of political interference for the Chief of Police. But for him, that's not where it started. The genesis, Phahlane says, was at the ANC's 2007 Polokwane conference, in which Jacob Zuma was catapulted to the helm, and when there was a vacancy for the crime intelligence position, late Minister Nathi Mthethwa, who was listed by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as championing political interference in the SAPS, called for the establishment of a panel to be chaired by him for the filling of the post.
The minister then was a politician who happens to take over and chair a panel without a national commissioner. That process squarely belongs to a national commissioner of the South African Police Service, not the minister. Only 2 people are by law to be appointed by politicians, and that politician is the president and the minister in respect of the head of the Hawks.
One of the reasons behind his suspension was a controversial SAPS contract in 2014, while Phahlane was Divisional Commissioner for Forensics. The R92 million agreement was with Etemba Forensic Group for the provision of panoramic cameras intended for the SAPS Forensic Services Division.
I'll repeat it here. I refused to order from that contract because the experts were never going to use that camera. How do I order something that is going to be a white elephant? They were never going to be able to utilize the cameras. So, fast forward, having refused, and even people after me in forensic services refused and say, we can't order this thing, we are not going to need it. I saved the department 92 million. That could have used to buy cameras that were never going to be used.
The dispute led to litigation that saw a 24 million rand settlement reached after Phahlane was ousted.
Because somebody went to pay 24 million plus interest to a service provider who did not even deliver a single camera to the police. That happens in 2018, 2019, while I'm sitting at home since 2017, the 1st of June. And that is being attributed to me. That is what I'm dismissed for. To say you have allowed a service provider to take 24 million plus interest, which became 31 million, that decision gets taken in 2018, 2019.
But not everyone was persuaded.
Phahlane, I'm afraid you're misleading this committee. Let me demonstrate this to you because you're making an issue of it. I thought we'd move on. Can you look at, firstly, when you indicated that you wanted or you were in support of the appointment of independent expert assessors, that was only in November 2016. And in November 2016, you were now the acting National Commissioner. Is that right?
Chair, I'm allowed to take offense.
The saga was but one of the reasons behind Phahlane's quick sacking, but it was the evidence of a former official in the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, or IPID, Cedric Ngabinde, that revealed much more during his testimony before the ad hoc committee.
Yeah, no, I think it was a year 2017 where we were busy with plotting to remove Phahlane. He was an acting national commissioner. The main reason, Paul O'Sullivan wanted McBride to become a national commissioner. So we were targeting everyone who occupied that seat.
It was allegedly dubbed the Phahlane Task Team, and according to the top cop, the purported plot to tank him would soon compromise his safety.
I received a telephone call from Mr. 62, I'm on page 62, Mr. Frectere Blanche, the building contractor, who informed me that he was approached by people who told him that they were conducting an investigation on the building of my house in Sable Hills. He indicated that 4 people, a white male, a white female, and 2 African males had approached him at the crèche in Sinoville where his wife was rendering services. The leader of the 4 identified himself as Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, who led the interview and questions in relation to the construction of my house.
A case for impersonating an IPID official would be registered against O'Sullivan. However, It was former IPID head Robert McBride who appeared at some point to associate himself with Phahlane, warning him of other detractors.
On the 5th of June, my wife and I were attacked by 3 gun-wielding men while at a spa in Duncanville, Johannesburg. I remain grateful to the Almighty that we survived the attack, even though we sustained some injuries during the unfortunate incident. Following the attack on 5th June at about 1934, the first person who called me was Robert McBride. Robert McBride sent me a text message via WhatsApp which read, "Just heard, sorry about that, let me know if you need help. Offer still stands." Which offer still stands? I responded at 19:30 to his message as follows: "Noted with appreciation, kind regards." That's where I left it. I was taken aback months later in 2017 when I found out that it was Robert McBride who obtained a copy of the CCTV camera footage and recordings of the attack, forwarded it to Paul O'Sullivan's assistant Sarah Jane Trent and Peter Louis Mayberg, who circulated such via YouTube with distorted reporting to the media.
Well, on Tuesday and Wednesday, Robert McBride will have his opportunity to respond and give his version of events about when he was IPID head, and it's expected that his relationship with O'Sullivan will be important to lawmakers. Also set to testify is suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, who's expected to detail his relationship with Matlala, how the donation of 4 vehicles to the department came about, and the case of torture and murder of a suspect, which was detailed at the Commission of Inquiry, investigating allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the criminal justice system. As Newzroom Africa, we'll continue keeping you abreast with testimony and analysis as the Ad Hoc Committee forges ahead with its quest to unearth the rot in the SAPS, among other things. I'm Zoleka Qodashe, and thanks for watching.